April 9, 1865. Confederate General Robert E. Lee surrendered his army to Ulysses S. Grant, commanding general of the Union Army. This surrender marked the end of the American Civil War in Virginia. Grant's terms were simple and generous. All Confederate soldiers would have to turn in their rifles, but they were to be pardoned, and they would be sent home with their private property. Officers were allowed to keep their sidearms, and Lee's starving men would be given Union rations. April 10, 1865, the two generals met again. At this meeting, it was agreed that Lee's troops would receive parole passes in order to allow them to travel home and obtain food at federally controlled stations in the South. Also, Grant issued Order Number 73. All officers and men of the Confederate service paroled at Appomattox Courthouse, Virginia, who, to reach their homes, are compelled to pass through the lines of the Union armies, will be allowed to do so, and to pass free on all government transports and military railroads. U.S. General John Gibbon was placed in command of the printing operation. The number of passes required was so daunting that he had to round up any man with printing experience from the ranks to keep the operation running day and night. The passes were printed at least 3 to a sheet in a common blue-lined notebook and then cut out. The passes were about the size of a check. Using hand-operated printing presses, Northern soldiers cranked out 30,000 hastily printed parole slips. The parole slips were simply worded, but required name, rank, and signatures. They read, Appomattox Courthouse, Virginia. The bearer of Company Regiment of a paroled prisoner of the Army of Northern Virginia has permission to go to his home and remain there undisturbed. Some higher-ranking Confederates were paroled by Federal officers, but most passes were signed by Confederate officers for the men in their command. Once completed and duly recorded, the now ex-rebels could make their way home. Separating from their units, the former Confederate soldiers evolved into small groups of 2 or 3 or 4, all going in the same direction, at least for a while. Most of them walked. They had become professional walkers over the course of the war, able to go 20 miles or more on foot every day. It was the thin and small pieces of paper and simple words that protected the Confederate soldiers from being disturbed while they returned home. The parole slips are included in American history as a symbol of national reconciliation.